Welcome back. We're now joined by Jim Hayford, the men's coach at Seattle University. Coach, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. Great to be here in Denver.
Good, yeah. We got some nice weather here for you before we get some snow, so never a bad thing. But, Coach, let's talk about the preseason NIT tournament coming up that you guys will play in. How do you see these tournaments benefiting your team in the long run?
Well, you're playing great competition, and then you're getting exposure. So this opportunity came at us kind of late in the summer to be a part of that tournament. It's a 2-year deal with ESPN who puts it on. And so this year it involved 2 nationally televised games, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I like the opportunity. One's at Syracuse, one's at Ole Miss. And then a great tournament down in Orlando with Yale and Bucknell in Western Michigan. And so 2 trips across the country in 2 weeks is a little less than ideal. And then in the second year, we'll be a part of the Diamond Head Classic at the University of Hawaii over Christmas, which is
it's never a bad one to.
Yeah, it's it's a tournament with a rich tradition, and the last team from the WAC who played in was New Mexico State, who had a great showing. So we're looking forward to representing our conference in that the following year. So it's a great opportunity. It's 7 games on national television for Seattle University and for the WAC, and playing against really good competition.
You lost Mateo Chavez, who led the league in three-point percentage last season. Who are you looking to really step up and fill that role?
Well, the neat thing about our team is we only lose one guy, and Mateo was injured a lot of the year. So it's a team where we weren't passing out name tags, and we have 6 seniors. The best teams I've had in my 21st year as a head coach are teams with great senior leadership, and so it's a veteran group. I probably scheduled too difficult for them through the preseason. Whereas last year, we went through the non-conference at 12-3 in perfect health and 2-2 against the Pac-12, and then injuries hit, and we probably should have had a little more adversity against us in November and December, and so I probably overcompensated a little bit for that. But I think it'll be a veteran, rugged, tough team with good chemistry and just a solid core of return players that know one another.
Out of those veterans, who do you really see having the main leadership role?
Well, every player in my program is a leader. We don't have captains. I expect everyone to be a leader. And so if it's to be, it's up to me. Who needs to be a better leader? We all need to be a better leader. Now, with that said, there's guys now that have been in the program. Our coaching staff took over. This will be our 3rd season. We're really proud of the guys that have been through that. Mattia and Morgan. Leaving someone out. I just talked about all 3 guys yesterday. But, they've been there before. They know what to do, and I'm sure that they'll help the guys along the way.
You guys also just got named to the Academic Excellence Award by NABC. How do you ensure success both in the classroom and on the court?
Yeah, it's something I'm really proud of. So both years we've received that Academic Excellence Award. Seattle U is a great academic school, so our basketball team should be a good academic team. And so I guess what I do that maybe is unique from other head coaches is each of my players has to text me every single day. So I see them in practice every day, I talk to them every day, but they also have to send me a text. And at the end of their class attendance each day, they need to send me a text that says, I'm done with class. So we expect 100% class attendance. You're going to miss plenty of classes with the travel of a Division I basketball season. And so we expect you to be at every class while we are in town. And that means, hey, I've got perfect attendance. And the other part of texting done with class means I did it with class. I sat near the front of the professor's classroom. I paid attention. I participated in the discussion. And I think that it's just like anything in life. If you keep your focus on the process, you're going to like the result. And so the guys are really committed to their class attendance and being an active part of the classroom, and I think that's one of the reasons that we've had that academic success.
Did you learn that from another coach, or did you come up with this plan all on your own?
I've been coaching so long, I've learned everything by accident or somehow. So I started doing that about 8-10 years ago, and I like it because it gives me an academic touch point with every player. It's not coming at me through a graduate assistant or through our director of tutoring, who does a great job, but that they're accountable for their academic performance directly with me as the head coach. And I think it shows the guys how invested I am into what really matters for them. I want to coach guys who will be pro basketball players, but by the time they're 30 years old, they all need to be prepared to be a professional in something else.
Awesome, Coach. Well, on that note, I will pass it down to the media.
So you return Terrell Brown, Miles Carter, and Morgan Means, among others. But what do you expect from those players this season?
I expect each of these veterans who've had success. I think I have 5 guys on my team who've scored over 20 points in a game for Seattle U returning. I expect them to be at their best every single day. And out of that commitment to staying in that process and being the best that they can be, I think they're going to have some great performances, but more importantly, synergize together to have some great team performances. And so Morgan and Terrell, I think, you're talking about a conference with some great backcourts, and I think ours is worthy of mention right in there. How many people, Chris Jans was up here before me. We both have a great Terrell Brown, kind of unique, isn't it? And so we love RTB. And so Terrell really rose up during his sophomore year. Miles is a great defender. He was a second-team All-Region player. Delonte Jones was hobbled by injury, but came to us as the Rookie of the Year in the Patriot League when he was at American, and I think he's going to have a great year. Morgan he's a 4th-year starter his whole career. And so we've got a solid group. Riley Grigsby was a runner-up for the Conference Freshman of the Year. He's a solid guy coming in as a sophomore, and so we've got some really good players, and I expect a lot of neat things for him this year.
Coach, you mentioned Mateo suffered an injury last year, and you were hit with the injury bug all throughout the season. What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I learned it's really hard when your assistant coach is having to practice with your team. I'm looking forward, not backwards. It was adversity. It was really hard. Most injuries I've ever had with one of my teams in 20 years, and so I'm glad we got it out of the way. And we're just going to be bigger, stronger, and tougher, but we also got flu shots yesterday. So,
Jim, Kyle McDonald with WAC Hoops Digest. How did the injuries make your team better for this year? And what I mean by that is where guys got to step in and play a little bit more, get more minutes than maybe they might have, to add some more depth to your roster.
Yeah, I think it allowed a lot of guys to get experience that maybe they wouldn't have last year, because all of a sudden you were the 10th guy and there's 4 guys out, and now you're the first guy off the bench, or you were playing 8 minutes a game and now you're starting and playing 25, 30 minutes a game. And so it put other people in different roles, which now makes it extremely competitive this year for who's going to get what kind of roles this year, because they've all had an opportunity to get what's the hardest thing in life. The hardest thing in life is experience. It's getting it, and you're glad when you have it, but no one likes it while you're getting it. And so that's what creates a veteran team for us. And so it was no fun going through it, but it's good to be on this side of it.
You talked about the returners and how you don't need name tags this year, but are there any newcomers you expect to make an impact that fans should be on the lookout for?
Well, we added a grad transfer, Jordan Dallas, who's very talented, good size, but can play away from the basket. So Jordan should get an opportunity to play. Davi, who's our only freshman from Lithuania, very talented player. And so it's again, it's more just about the kind of collective sum of this whole part, and I think both those newcomers can play a role in that as well.
Coach, like all conferences, the WAC was greatly impacted by a high upkick in player transfers. How difficult is it to combat all this player movement, and what are you doing to adjust?
Yeah, I've lost a grad transfer each of the last 2 years. I've also gained grad transfers each of the last 2 years. So that's just the nature of what Division I basketball is right now. It's more transient, and so you got to embrace it. And ultimately, if you're coaching your team to, hey, what's the very best thing for you, and you're moving them along academically, that's going to give guys options, and you just need to just kind of take each individual case basis by basis. I got my bachelor's at Azusa Pacific. I got my master's at Claremont, and so rarely does the same person do it at both places. I think what's of more concern to me is when you look at how many freshmen transferred last year. So every freshman shows up at college basketball thinking, I'm going to be the conference freshman of the year, or I'm going to be great. because, quite frankly, if you're a Division I scholarship college basketball player, you probably were a really good high school basketball player. And then you encounter difficulty, you encounter a bit of a struggle. And so the first reaction by so many players is, oh, I didn't get what I expected, so I'm going to leave. And I think all of us in life realize that where we gain maturity and where we gain grit and where we learn is we embrace challenges and take them on. And so I think that's the most concerning part about what's going on in Division I basketball is that a lot of people are making it really, really easy for kids. They're still going to have to face the same issues. It's just going to be somewhere else a little later down the road.
Can you talk a little bit about the improvement of the WAC since you became the head coach at CLU?
Yeah, I've been a big cheerleader for it. I think lots of conferences should be calling our commissioner and saying, how did you do that? Because when I was at a different Division I school in a different Division I conference, I was looking down on the WAC and saying, why would you want to go play in that league? And then now I'm a head coach in this league, and it's 10, 12 spots higher than the conference that I was in. And that change happened fast, happened in 4 or 5 years. So here we are in the top half of the country in terms of conferences. And so I think it happened because you have institutions that were really committed to being good in men's basketball. I think what you have to do is have a high tide in the harbor that raises all the other ships, and I think you got to give a lot of credit to New Mexico State for being that ship in the harbor. And so, if you get a WAC road win, you got a great Division I basketball game. There's rarely a night that it's a gimme, and that's something that you can only really say about strong conferences across the country. And so it's harder, but it's great to be a part of a WAC that is in that part of when you look at where those really good conferences are between like 8 and 15 out of 32 conferences, that we've moved into that neighborhood is a statement to our schools and to our conference office.
Jim, one last question. Going back to what you said about the players texting you every day and sitting in front of classes, are you one of those coaches that believes that being good in the classroom makes you a better basketball player?
Well, you'll never find any coach who's going to stand at a media conference and say, no, I'm one of the guys who thinks being bad in the classroom helps you. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. But I just think that results are what speak, and whether it was my teams at Whitworth or Eastern Washington and now Seattle, I think that the proof's in the pudding. Go look at how my teams have done academically, and it's something that's super important to me. The last thing I would want is for someone to have played for me and them to look back on it and say that coach didn't help me value my education. What a terrible thing to say about a coach, right? And so to me it's kind of, in geometry it says with the problem given this, and it's like, given you have a great education, make the most of it. So it probably shouldn't even have to be mentioned.
Well, Coach, we definitely appreciate the time, and we wish you the best of luck for this season.
Right on. Let's go have a great WAC season.
Yes. All right. Next up, we've got the other Seattle U women's basketball coach. We've got the men's here with me now, but we'll have the women's here in just a second.